you have a done for you LinkedIn prospecting, information sharing, what do you call it? Thought leadership building. That's what you guys do.
Essentially, yes, it's a system, but in your world, you could liken it to an agency model because we're using technology to help us do that.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're doing is we're basically growing people's first degree network very much like a target audience. So just like putting a lead magnet out on Facebook and you're attracting that certain audience, we're using that same philosophy, but on LinkedIn. And then as that pool grows, we're hired by our clients to engage those people on their behalf. So we are acting as Tony. If you were our client, we would have your profile connected to our softwares, and all of our campaigns are running on automation for your behalf, growing that first degree network. And then messaging goes out to those people, very similar to an autoresponder on email. But once the prospect responds back, then we go real live human in the inbox, and I have people that answer those messages, but their goal is to take it from, hey, Tony, it's nice to be connected, learning a little bit about you and building that rapport with the goal of getting an appointment scheduled. So we're a fostering of a relationship type business and appointment setting service kind of all in one. But the goal is to build that concentrated network. So now you're putting yourself in a place of authority in your market.
Right. Do you also provide the content that builds out the authority on the profile and on the business?
So yes. So we're really kind of an agency and a consultancy that got married, because I started off as a strategic consultant, and then this agency thing kind of through the pandemic and a series of events landed in my lap. And I thought, oh, this could just be kind of a little done for you service for my coaching and consulting clients. And it's what took off. So that's been my focus for the last 4 years. And I just earlier this year realized, like, duh, you don't have two businesses, you have a marriage, because these people don't have their marketing figured out. So they need those foundations. And that's why some of them have been failing over on what we'll call the agency side. So now we're incorporating both of that. But I think I'm going to have to be the figurehead of that, because I am the marketer and the strategist and setting that tone. And then I think it needs to be a handoff is where I'm kind of seeing that. But I think the value will come is, you're working directly with Jamie, the founder, on getting all this stuff figured out. And then I've got the account manager, I think, that's keeping that relationship going. But maybe I'm kind of the wizard, like in the Wizard of Oz, I'm the Oz behind the curtain. Still keeping a pulse on it and making sure, but I'm not down in the weeds looking at all the analytics and all the campaigns and analyzing all that. I think those are farmed out to other people, which the account manager, if it were a full role, would be doing all of that.
So it's interesting because one of the things we've done at one of my agencies, Fanit, we go and work with, and we just started this maybe like not even 6 months ago, but we've been working with moving and storage companies, and that's just one vertical of many verticals in the home service contractor world that Fanit's teams work with. But for moving and storage, one thing they're missing is a systematized referral campaign marketing, because that audience is very transactional in nature. Like, oh, you want to move, it's X number of people, it's X number of trucks, here's how much it costs. Very transactional. Using LinkedIn, though, all the professionals, the top 4 professionals that they should, in fact, I'm giving a webinar here shortly, but that they should be forming relationships with are all on LinkedIn. And COVID actually pushed more people. There's like, I don't know, I think it's 1.7 billion visitors a day or something. It's just ridiculous how people went out there. And so you have the right people hanging out on LinkedIn that are members. Some people are more engaged than others, obviously. And so how do you build out your referrals? Well, at Fanit, what we've done for that side is we do have a process and software, but what we've learned is that the roles are, you have someone that talks to them about the value of this program, that closes the sale. And then you have someone that, and in your world, this might be a virtual assistant, but that gets access to all the technology and sets up all the technology. That's all they do. That's almost the hardest part. And then you have somebody that writes all the copy through and builds out all the automation. And that may be where you are. But what I also have is an account strategist who functions as a project manager. And so what you might consider is hiring a social media consultant to basically project manage. So
well, and I just brought a social media person on my team. And as a matter of fact, I'm meeting with her tomorrow, and I was curious to see what pieces of this maybe I could give her.
Because you're still the best at messaging. Like you're gonna understand that client and go, yes, we have some boilerplate messaging and some ways to do it, but here's the little, special sauce on this one. But in large part, so it's like you're doing 20% while your consultant, or they used to call them not marketing assistant, marketing coordinator. Maybe it's more like a marketing coordinator that makes sure it all gets done, right?
Yep.
That person could also be the person that sets up the tech, and what you're training them to do. Their path is you're a marketing consultant now, but what we're training you to be is someone who can handle these relationships, but you're not ready yet. I'll do that now. When we get to a certain point, usually it's a revenue level and just a sheer amount of work. But then what they have to do is they have to train their replacement, and they move up. And now you're incentivizing that person who moves up to manage a certain portfolio of monthly recurring revenue. And so what we've done is we said, as revenue goes, monthly recurring revenue goes up that you manage, you make more money in tiered. And the specialists get paid hourly, but they don't have a brain, right? They just do. And you have that part set up.
Yep.
But that's their path. So you want to get to this path, you have to manage a portfolio of accounts. I'm doing that now. The tricky part is you would be earning income from that portfolio that you have to give up. So where is your next job? No one tells you this when you start a business. You have to constantly reinvent your next job and figure out how to go make money at it.
Yep.
And ultimately what happens is you go job, and then you get to the point where you read Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Quadrant, you're an investor. That's where you ultimately want to go. You're not an operator, you're an investor, and you have an operator, and that operator has the leaders that also have the people that do the work. That's the path you want to be on, I think.
It is. Well, my goal is to get out of this quote unquote agency in the daily operations. I know you can't ever let it go, but it's like fully managed by a team. And that frees me up to be more of the growth figurehead of the company. That's where I love to teach. So I would love to be like on that coaching side where I'm hosting masterminds or monthly Q&A calls and things like that, but I'm not down in the weeds anymore meeting with these people.
And so I believe you'll have to figure out what your next job is and how you earn a living at, until you get to the point where and it's a pretty prescribed roadmap. And I've done it multiple times now. And so the funny thing is, this morning I talked to our cold email outreach team. And so every time we spin up an agency, or every time I need cold email outreach with the right offer, you get hands raised. And then you have to have the salesperson that can take that hand raise, work those deals. That part is working. The part that we're missing, that we're doing parts of, is the LinkedIn part of that. Because what we know is there are 3 pillars to this whole kind of lead generation relationship building. One is cold email outreach with the right target. 2 is LinkedIn and on-platform connections and conversation. And 3 is thought leadership, authoritative content on the profile, but also on the website.
Yep. No, I think you've nailed it. And I think we're working at opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, I've done one heck of a job building a great LinkedIn network. Now I'm trying to monetize.
Yeah.
So I think what I've been missing is the outer perimeters of what we'll call traditional outreach marketing. I've built the foundations. It's just that networking in and of itself is gold, but it's not consistent. It's more about having that $1 million Rolodex. I think that every time you need somebody, you go, I know a person.
Yeah.
That's the gold in networking and the foundations. But I still think you have to have, like you said, email marketing going or social media content that's driving people.
Yeah.
Funnel, if you want to call it that.
So let me show you what we have. I'm going to skip through this, but this is a webinar we're doing. Isaiah's going to ask me a bunch of questions. We talk about what's in a professional relationship, LinkedIn, how we use it, what professional authoritative looks like. But part of this is having a process that's both on platform. So this is a process engineered to make a connection on platform and then move them off platform. Now, this happens to be for a referral relationship, for these types of, staging, real estate. So all these people are out there. And we know in this industry, a really good, strong referral does a good job. So good referral sources don't want to be affiliates. They don't want to feel like they're working for you. My point is this process right here, we could actually hire you to run this process. Now, I'm going to show you how we price it right now. But so I do want your opinion on this.
Yep.
I need to keep this webinar up. So I'm going to show you just, so here's a version of this that we go through. Here's these pillars. Here's this process. You can find people out there. Here's our options, kind of a done for you. And we have an onboarding specialist that can set up the technology. We have an account manager who can oversee this. And this dedicated virtual assistant, I actually have a woman out of New York that is willing to do this, but she's really suited to go sell this. Right now, I'm selling.
Yeah.
If you look at, that's our interview score sheet. So we're interviewing for people. But here's our leads. We just started this outbound cold. This is cold email outreach. And so our offer for this particular industry is working well. And now it's up to me to close it. And I've closed a few, but I need to close a few more to bring this woman in to replace me as the salesperson. But what I think could work well is having your team be the team that delivers this. Now, this isn't for coaches, right?
Yeah.
But this is an add-on marketing service to what the team already does at Fanit, which is SEO, websites, that kind of thing. The other interesting piece is the third leg of this or pillar to this is the content that goes on your YouTube channel and your LinkedIn. My other agency this is another one of my agencies, and these guys are B2B, and they've got a huge database trying to prospect it. In fact, one of my calls today is with my salesperson over there about how to leverage what we have in their database. The thing that they're not using is LinkedIn. So there's plenty of opportunities to work together. And I think there's some on-platform stuff we can do on LinkedIn, but also some off-platform stuff that we know. This is an example of email campaigns. There's not a lot, right? There's only like 65 people in this particular campaign, but you get good open rates and you click-through rates. And you want people to see you in your inbox. You want people to see you on LinkedIn. And if they check you out, you want to be authoritative. And you want to be a thought leader. Now, what is a thought leader? It just means you know the market, you know the challenges, you know the solutions to the challenges, you have the experience. So this could be, I don't know, I didn't intend for this.
No, we're just talking.
But we're just so.
Well, okay, so back to the LinkedIn piece. Are you looking for like the tool to run all of this, or are you because it sounds like you already have some team members.
Yeah, we do. But this is the tool we use. This is one of about, I don't know, probably a half a dozen. I've heard there's like 3 of them that are pretty good.
So in full disclosure, I'm a white label partner to something very similar to this, but we're giving it as a service.
Yeah.
Because what I've learned is the average user who's not a marketer has no idea how to run this. It's like handing them the keys to a Lamborghini and going, here you go.
No, we have people that run this.
Yeah.
I've set up this before for myself, for other people. So if it's something similar, great. Here's how we're pricing it right now. And the goal is, this is just one channel for, in this case, it's moving and storage companies, and you have to be ready to make the investment in this channel. This is more like, here, we'll set it up, we'll make sure it runs right.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll use our system. Now it's their system. We set it up for them. And if we need to make changes in copy, we can, but basically they do the rest.
See, and this is where I've had clients fail. I had something similar to this with the goal of they were booking appointments, and I saw so many people fail. I took this off my plate.
Yeah. And that's what we say when we go into this. We say, look, the price point's right, but here's all the things that you're going to have to do. Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
And most people choose this, but I always say, give them enough rope to hang themselves and then come unhook them. So right now, and by the way, you saw, I'm just full disclosure. We haven't been running this campaign very long, and we're getting people raising their hand, and you can kind of see the answer rate and the ones that are upcoming. So what would be interesting to me is, we know we need to solve this problem. I have multiple agencies that can leverage a system where it's cold email outreach and LinkedIn at some point. But then the third piece is the content, and I've got the content piece. But what would be interesting to me is, how can we, and you may not be open to this, but how do we put you in a situation that you're the team to handle this, the LinkedIn part of it?
Well, I was kind of looking at your price point, and I didn't read everything that was included in that package. Now, keep in mind, I've put the heavy onboarding now on the front end of our basic package, where we're going to analyze your marketing and fix what's missing so that we can do a good job for you on LinkedIn, and you're not wanting to change your strategy every other week. Because that's the other thing, is this is more of a long-term game. But our price point is $14.95.
Oh, okay.
Per month. So that's where I don't, unless we somehow figured it out. I was just thinking like, oh, you wouldn't even have any margin. I mean, we're on the street, we're charging more than that.
Yeah.
So let me just read what you have. Define, okay, your referral partners set up, okay, LinkedIn, set up and configure. Yeah.
And
Are you giving them Sales Navigator in that price, or do they have to have their own Sales Navigator?
No, they have to buy their own Sales Navigator, and they have to pay for WeConnect.
Oh, okay. So I since I'm a white label, I fold that price into mine, and they do have to have Sales Navigator, copy, add new connections. So email marketing and mine is separate, because what we're doing is just on the basic package, just LinkedIn outreach and using the DMs for that. So I mean, I guess that could be configured, but I put that in our higher ticket package, and they don't get a virtual assistant. They just get an account manager twice a month, phone calls or Zoom meetings, we're going to say, for that.
For a B2B play, totally see where you're at, and I if you've made it work. How many clients do you have on
right now? I just want to cry in the last month. That's why I realized I need to start doing some additional marketing in addition, but we're like at about 10 clients right now, so I need to get bigger. So that's what I'm working on. But I will tell you, market standard, I'm like cheaper than a lot of competitors. I've got a competitor collaborator here in Dallas. We were actually kind of trained by the same company, but I've done work for Mark, and he charges $1,500 a month. So I know that, and I've had other competitors tell me I'm too cheap. So I don't know. On that.
It also depends on the market you're going after, right?
I think so. I've had people tell me that I shouldn't go after the solopreneur, emerging founder consultant, but I'm one of them. And so I've lived all this. So, the things I offer are things that I had to end up learning and creating myself, that I figured out, and I'm giving back.
I mean, you could say you go after thought leaders, and And so, for example, if you had a business that wanted to promote somebody like the owner as a thought leader, it's kind of because it's so personalized on you could pass that same learning on to those thought leaders, whether they're a coach,
Yeah.
a solopreneur, or they run a company, or they run a department or division, you know. And what's their goal? Is their goal completely to layer this on to their existing marketing and build brand awareness and authority in a certain space, or is their goal lead gen?
Well, that's the other thing is I am kind of trying, that's why I was trying to not use that word. I'm trying to banish it from my vocabulary because it just seems like it's gotten to be such a 4-letter word. And I think, and I was just thinking about this morning as I was working on my personal branding, is LinkedIn is so different than any other type of marketing that I think it's hard to wrap your head around it. But it's really about networking and building that foundation of who do you know? Because I even wrote this morning. There's that saying of your net worth is your network. And I think that's true because at the end of the day, all the marketing we do, what ends up happening? Hey, do you know a guy? Yeah.
You know, it's funny because I got to jump here, but so I want to continue this conversation because there's something here. What people used to do is they used to go to local events, networking events. They used to go to networking events. COVID kind of squashed it.
Yep. That's my backstory.
Yeah.
That's my absolute backstory is everything I was doing in person to grow my consultancy died on the vine.
And so now you might go to these big events, but like, hey, let's connect on LinkedIn. And now you get to pay attention to what kind of thought leadership this person provides in the business world. You know, I'm not watching what they're doing with their kids, you know, or their dogs, or, you know, and paying attention to them personally. I'm paying attention to what they're talking about in it from a business standpoint. Now, that's why there's some strange things kind of leaking into LinkedIn that I'm not too, you know, fond of. Plus, my LinkedIn account got hacked.
Yeah.
I had to get that back. So I've been through that experience. But I've got to jump onto a webinar.
Yeah. Well, let's keep the conversation open. I mean, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay.
So just holler at me. I'll let you go.
Okay. All right, Jamie. Okay. Well, I appreciate it.
All right. Talk again soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.